Okay, hey everyone. Good morning, guys. Okay, are we good to get started? Can I get a yes or no from everyone? Okay, good. Let me share my screen. Any doubts, any questions from last class that you want me to address? Okay. If there is no doubts, no question from last class, let's start off. Okay. The first thing that we will learn today is case statements, or something that we call as conditional statements. Okay. So everybody knows about how we can do different kind of if else work across programming, right? That if a condition is true, then I might do certain operations. If not, then I might do something else, etc. Case statement in SQL works exactly like a if else. Okay. It helps you add your conditional logic inside select statement or the update statement or other parts of the query in general. That's what case statements are ideally for. Okay. So they basically return different values based on different conditions. What I mean to say is, let's say if a condition, like for example, if A is between 3 and 5, then you want to return, let's say, X. And if A is, let's say, between, and it can be any condition, not just with A, it can be with any condition, but I'm giving the most simplest example. Let's say if A is between 6 and 9, then you want to return something like Y. If none of those conditions are true, maybe you then want to return something like Z. So this is a conditional statement. This is a part of putting different conditions into place. If condition 1 is true, then X gets assigned. If a condition 2 is true, then Y gets assigned. If none of the conditions are true, then Z gets assigned. The same thing. Excuse me. The same thing can be put through a case statement as well. What will be the syntax? The syntax of case statements is case. It starts with the keyword case, and then you start giving conditions, and you can give n number of conditions. Case, when condition 1, whatever is your condition 1, then let's say value 1. When condition 2, then let's say value 2. If you want, you can add as many conditions as you want. And if none of the conditions are true, you can add a else, which will have your default result. Like if none of the conditions are true, my else part will get executed and end. This is how a case statement looks like. Okay, you add multiple conditions, and if needed a else part, that if none of the conditions are true, then my else part will get executed, and then the end, which marks the end of case when, which means my conditions are over. Got it? Is it clear till here? These kind of statements can be used for categorization, segmentations. If you want a separate column, not in the actual table, but in the output, which adds a segregation, etc., or categories, etc. For those reasons, we might require case width. Is this clear for others, everyone? The overview of case win, is it clear? Okay, let me show you a simple example. Let's say I want to label fruits as expensive if, let's say, they are like if their price is greater than 5. Else I want to label them as affordable. Okay, so what for this, what I'll do is, and you can add your case when in anything. You can add your case when in select, you can add your case when in update statements, in your rest of the clauses inside select, etc. So here, since I'm adding a added level of categorization or segregation, I will use the select statement. So I'll write select. It's my fruits column. Give me a minute. Yeah. Select name. Oh, my bad. Select name, comma, price, comma. And now I will write my case when. That case when price is greater than 5, then what am I going to label it as? I'm going to label it as expensive. Else, I'm going to label it as affordable. End. That marks the end. And I'll write from fruits. Table fruits. Now, when I execute this query, look at this. In the output, a third column of categorization gets added, wherein if price is less than 5, then it's affordable. If it is greater than 5, then it is expensive. Like, for example, these fruits are expensive. Got it? Now, the only point over here is, since case when is a big statement, like a lot of syntax, and it looks very unreadable if you put it up in the output like this. I mean, the readability is not very good over here. So what I'll do is I'll add something called as alias. Not sure if I talked about alias earlier, but alias is like giving a nickname to a column, to a table, etc. If I write as price category, so in the output, only in the output, nothing changes in the original table, okay? Only in the output, instead of having this entire syntax as the column name, the or the column header, the output will come as price category, more clean, more readable, etc. So is this clear for everyone? Okay. I'll give one more example. Let's say I want to classify fruits based on quantity, where I can have multiple case when statements. So I can write something like select name, comma, quantity, comma. So I'm trying to classify quantity. So I selected quantity so that we can see the classification was right or wrong. Okay. Now here I'll write case, and you can start with your case when statements. Case when quantity, let's say, is greater than equals to 100, then high stock, let's say. When quantity between 50 and 99, then let's say moderate stock. Else I'll label it as low stock. That if none of the conditions are true, then my uh, quantity is in low stock end. And give a name to the column, a temporary name to the column, as let's say stocks status. from the fruits column. So you can add as many as many conditions as you want. And now if you look at the output, every fruit based on their quantity got labeled as moderate, high, or low. And based on the conditions that we have given. Is this clear for everyone? Or everybody else clear, right? Okay. Can you guys quickly just execute it on your own? Let me know if you are done. I can see few people are done, so let's go and practice one question in case when before we move to the um next topic. Can you classify fruits as expired or fresh based on their expiry? Can you try this up, everyone? You can try with whatever seems like your right logic, and then we will look at the answers. I'll wait for 2 more minutes. Okay, cool. Let's look at the approach. So I can just write select name, comma expiry date. And if expiry date is less than the current date, that means it's already expired, else it is fresh. And I will just add this status column to my answer. So you can see the fruits that are fresh versus the ones that are expired. Is that clear for everyone? This one is clear. Case when statements. Others, can you comment a yes or no if you are clear or not? Okay, great. Next up, we will learn about the clause order by. I don't think I've talked about order by earlier. So we'll talk about order by. So order by is a clause in select queries, which the sole purpose of order by is to sort the output result in multiple ways, like in ascending, descending, or etc. Right? So let's have a look. For example, if I write select, let's say I write select name, comma, price, okay, from the fruits column. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Now, when you look at the output, if you see the fruits and the name column that is extracted from the table is based on the rows in the table. Like it has just extracted the name column and fruit column from this, name column and price column from the fruits table. And there's no sort of sorting or ordering of results that are done. So after my where clause, after my other clauses, towards the end, we have a clause called order by. So I'll just write order by price. What happens is, if you look at the output, by default, I did not write ascending or descending. By default, it gets sorted in ascending order. If you want to change into descending, you can use descending. DESC. DESC is for descending. Any which ways, we'll see that. If you look at the output got sorted in ascending order by price. Because I said order by price, the output, the entire result got sorted based on price. It's not like the name column is fixed, only the price column is sorted. Not possible. It has sorted the entire output that you had using price. If you don't run the query with order by, this is the result that you were getting. See, apple 3.5, banana 1.2, and etc. When I sort the entire query result based on price, see, all the rows get rearranged based on price ascending to descending. Same way, if you want it the opposite way, if you want it descending to ascending, just add the keyword DESC. This will do the opposite. It will put the highest, highest price and fruit on top. Same way, just the opposite thing. That's what order by does. Is that clear for everyone? Okay. Now let's say I take up let name, comma, quantity from fruits. Let me see if we have repetitive quantity. Yes. Now let's say over here I write order by quantity. So what will happen? All the rows will get rearranged based on quantity, right? Like this. All the rows will get rearranged based on their quantity. So quantity ascending to descending. Right? Yes or no? Right. But the problem is there are repetitive quantities as well, right? There are repetitive quantities as well. That's the problem. Why? Because if you see 10, 10 is repeating twice, right? Over here. Then 15, then 20 is repeating twice, 25 is repeating twice. So that means there are duplications, right? That means there are duplications of quantity. And let's say that when there is a duplication of quantity, like both the rows have quantity as 10, how does the query decide which row to put on top and which row to put on down? How will it decide? You have just said that order by quantity. You didn't say anything else. No, it's not even alphabet, right? Sometimes it happens randomly, and just based on the rows that we have in the table, and sometimes it happens based on multiple conditions that we have. So whenever these kind of scenarios come, and we know that there are possibilities that the same amount or same quantity comes up in the output, and in case of duplication, what do? I can write order by quantity comma name. Now what will happen over here is, whenever there is a duplication like 10 10, 20 20, or 25 25 over here, it will look at the name column. Whenever there is a confusion, then it will first see, the priority is always for the quantity column. It will sort the entire result based on quantity. Wherever there is a confusion for that specific row, it will look at the names and sort it up likewise. So now if you look at the output, though it was randomly anyway happening in our case, but still it's not gonna happen every time, okay? Now if you look at the output, everything is sorted in ascending order. Wherever there is a duplication of quantity, the name column is sorted likewise. So got it how order by multiple columns work? Now tell me this, if I
So,
write,
Meghna, even if we are not giving the name column in the script, it's showing the same result. What's the
that's what I
difference?
said. For this, in our case, randomly, it is happening in the alphabetical order, but this won't happen in every
Uh,
software. This won't happen
no,
in
no, no, Meghna. Earlier, when you did put name as a sorting, watermelon came up first and kiwi came next. But when you kept name, it changed.
But
If
got
not,
it.
you
but
can
Any
run
which
one
ways, it
second.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
but but,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't work, right?
One second, one second. Just let me clear it up. When you put only order by quantity, the query's instruction is to just order by quantity in ascending order. Just
Yes.
ascending order, right? It doesn't care whatever the name comes up. Whenever there is a confusion, whenever there is a duplication over here, it is not going to look at the name column automatically. That will never happen. Okay, it might happen in one or two instances based on the based on randomness, or based on the software that you're using. But in 90% of cases, the softwares that you use, it won't happen automatically. You have to specify to SQL that in case there is a confusion, what do I do? That's the reason why we wrote common name. Now the confusion is clear. Don't look this as the ultimate example. Look at the bigger picture is my question. Is my point. Got it? Now is it clear? Great. Now, let's say I put over here DESC. Now tell me what will happen in the output. Without running it, can you take a guess what will happen in the output?
When duplicate quantities are there, it will check name in descending order.
Okay. Okay. So this means that you are putting a descending only on name. If you put descending also on quantity, then you have to put it like this, right? But right now you are sorting only quantity in ascending, but name in descending. Okay, so they're separate in general. So quantity will still be in ascending, but wherever there is a duplication, alphabetically, the higher name will come on top and the lower will come on bottom. So it will basically be descending of only name, but ascending of fruits. Is this clear for everyone? Order by is clear for everyone, right? Great. Now there is one more similar clause which is just after order by, which is called limit. So in this select, right, the last clause is limit and the second last clause is order by. Like by the syntax of writing, the last clause is limit and the second last clause is order by. Okay. Limit is used to restrict the number of rows in output. For example, if I write the same query, okay, let's say I write the same query, and after order by, I put a limit of 5. This means that I am restricting the output to be just first 5 rows. Only the first 5 rows will come up as output over here. Look at this. So dragon fruit, coconut, cherry, watermelon, kiwi. Right. So I'm basically putting a limit of 5, that in the output, I just need 5 rows. So only those 5 rows came up as output. There is nothing else over here. So if you want to restrict the output, if you just want to restrict the output, you will have to use limit. That's the work of limit. Is that clear for everyone? Is limit clear for everyone? Now, if you see, limit always takes first 5 rows and etc. Even if you give limit of 7, it will take first 7 rows, for instance. First 7 rows, right? So that's how limit is working. But along with limit, there is another part of limit. Along with limit, there is another part of limit called offset. Offset is used to skip rows, which means that if I write the same query, okay, if I write the same query and I write offset, let's say 2. Any idea what will it do based on the description?
It will skip the second one.
Okay. So the answer will be that it will skip the first 2 rows and give the next 5 rows. Right? So it will skip first 2 rows and give next 5 rows as output. Got it? Is offset clear for everyone? Small, these are very small concepts. Order by and limit is like very small. So that's why I covered it up together. Okay, can you guys quickly execute till here? Let me know once you're done. Also, if you're ordering by any date column, right, then date also can be sorted ascending, descending, etc. What about others? Are you guys done? Okay. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. Give me 2 minutes. Sorry guys, my cat just scratched me, so I had to clean it up. Anyway, uh, cool. So I'm hoping you guys are clear with order by and limit. The fact is that we used order by or limit in the most simplest form right now. When we learn more concepts in SQL, right, then we will understand how to use it in a more complex, advanced way, because by that time you will know other concepts. Like you can apply a case when in order by as well if you want. So all of that things can be done as well.
Meghna,
Okay.
I have one doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, here, when we are limiting with some number, it is taking, suppose if limit 5 means what are the top 5? If suppose there are duplicates in that, taking the duplicates also, it is taking top 5. But when we are
Yeah.
giving offset 2, it is just skipping the rows. Means, if
Yeah.
suppose top 2, the
Right.
2 difference I didn't get. Like, uh,
No. So it
see,
has
here,
nothing to do with duplicates. Limit has nothing to do with duplicates or duplicate amount. Limits work is that whatever output you're getting, in that output, the number of rows is that, I mean, the number of rows that finally gets displayed, that's what limits work is with. If you just use limit, then, sorry, if you just use
so when we
limit.
are putting yeah, continue.
So I was saying that if you just put limit, it will just put, like, let's say you put limit 5. So in the output, whether there are duplicates or there are nulls or whatever it is, it will just count the rows and it will return you the first 5 rows. If you put an offset of 2, only the first 2 rows that you were anyway getting as the output from the rest of the query, it will skip the first 2 and it will give the next 5 rows. So nothing else matters over here.
Okay. It's not like a ranking and just
No.
only 5 and
Yeah,
okay,
no
okay,
amount
got it.
of ranking. Ranking is done with window functions.
Okay.
Okay, now let's say I do this. What do you think will be the output? Okay, so here if you look at the output, over here, alphabetically all the expired will come on top and then fresh. Because you're ordering by this case when statements, and finally you're labeling it as expired versus fresh, right? So alphabetically expired will come first and fresh will come later. That's the reason why all the expired comes on top and all the fresh comes bottom. Point being, you can use case when in order by as well. So did you guys understand how it is working with order by? Yes, so I said that when you're ordering by a case when statements, then here, since your case when is finally, what is your case when doing? It's finally labeling every row as expired versus fresh, right? So the final status column will have expired versus fresh. You're ordering by that, and you're saying that wherever it is expired, those rows will come on top, and wherever it is fresh, those rows will come later. No, Krishna, that won't work. Like, I get your point, but here, if I write order by status, see, what will happen is that, okay, this worked because of an exception. I'll talk about this exception when I talk about order of execution, but in general, this is a wrong syntax. Why it is a wrong syntax is because the way SQL executes the query. The problem is that SQL executes from, and you will understand why it does so later. SQL executes from first, from or the joins first, then it executes where, then it executes group by, then it executes having, then it executes the select, and then it executes the order by, and then the limit. So yeah, with order by, yes, you can put the output, whatever select has computed, you can put it up there as well. But my point was that uh, if you are forming anything in the select statement, right? So you can use it only after it is formed. Like here, select is getting executed before order by. So it is getting formed and you are being able to use it in order by. But let's say you are using something like status in where clause or in having or in group by, it will be wrong because the statement has not even been formed and you are trying to use it, right? So that's the whole point. But other than that, a shortcut way of handling these situations, instead of actually giving the column name, can also be that if you put something like order by 3, even if you put order by 3, the output will come. So 3, 2, 1, these are positional numbers. Like for example, in the select statement, name is in position 1, expiry is in position 2, status is in position 3. So since I've written order by 3, it will order by the third select, whatever you have selected in the third position, it will order by that, right? But even if you don't have this case when statement in the select, you can still use the case when statement in the order by. That those are the 2 points that I wanted to speak. Is that clear? Okay. Next up, we'll talk about a very, very important topic in SQL, and one of such topic that you will, work with a lot in if we don't use as the alias, we won't have no, even if you don't use alias, you will have three because you are selecting something. It may have an alias and may not have an alias. Alias is nothing but just a temporary name. If you give an alias, your column header will look readable. If you don't give, it will not look readable. That's the only difference. But anyways, that column will get computed because you have added some kind of operations like case when over there. Okay, next up, we are talking about aggregations. Very, very important in SQL. Most of the time, a lot of inciting work that we do, we actually use a lot of aggregations in place. So using the right aggregation at the right place is very important, right? So let's understand aggregation. See, the word aggregation also means summarization. Okay, so if I want to summarize my data, I will use aggregation. Do you guys remember pivot tables from Excel? How many of you do? Right? So what was happening in pivot table? Based on the rows, the values were getting summarized. Everything was getting summarized in pivot table, right? That's what happens over here. Why nope? That is what was happening in pivot table, right? Yeah, pivot table had other options like putting columns and etc. But let's say you selected the fruit names in the rows, and if you calculated sum of price for every fruit name, you were getting the sum of price and etc. Right? Am I right? Yes or no? So that's summarization, right? That's aggregation, that's summarization. So here also we can summarize the data. Aggregation, summarization, all these words just mean the same thing. If you have multiple lines of input, it will summarize everything to one single line. That's the term of summarization or aggregation. The output of aggregation will always be a single row of result. When I summarize multiple rows into a single row of result, that's what summarization means, right? Like for example, let's say I have um, apple, apple. Let's say I have all the orders of apple at one place. Okay. Now, if I summarize this information and I try to find that number of orders for Apple, it will be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you had initially you had 5 rows as the input, but the output is just a single row. That's the point of aggregation, when you summarize multiple rows into one single output row. That's aggregation. Is that clear for everyone? So we have 5 aggregate functions here as well. We have 5 aggregate functions. One is count, which is supposed to count the number of rows and etc. I'll show you variations on count later. We have sum, which is used for summing up values or adding values. We have average for computing average, min for minimum, and max for maximum. Before we dive deep into each of these functions, if I just take the most simplest one, which is sum, now I'll show you what the difference comes up as. So if I write select price from fruits, this will select the entire price column from fruits. Okay, this will select the entire price column from fruits. So if you see, all the rows have come up over here, like 20 rows have come up over here. But here, if I add an aggregation function like sum of price, okay, what will happen is only one single row output comes up. This is the point of aggregation. Multiple rows getting summarized as one single row. Is that clear for everyone? That's aggregation basically, when you are aggregating multiple rows into one. And here also you can give alias. Alias at any point of time, you can add alias to any column, any table name, etc. So I can add an alias as, let's say this is something I want to label as total price. So it will basically come as a column header as total price, right? So this is what aggregation does, but now we will explore all the aggregation functions one by one. Likewise, okay, so we'll start with count. Count, like I said, count's work is just to count the rows in a particular situation, in a particular table. Okay, this is supposed to only count rows in the table based on the conditions you give and etc. This will count all the rows in the table. So when you write select count star from fruits, this means you are trying to count all the rows in the table. So this means you are trying to count all rows in the table. Star means all rows, right? Star means all columns and etc. So that means you are trying to select everything from the table here, and you're trying to count the total number of rows in the table. So it will return over here, it will return 20, because I think we have 20 rows. Yeah. So 20 rows will come up over here. So this counts all rows in the table. Same way, if I write select count, let's say imported from fruits column. What do you think? What will this count?
The number of entries in the imported form,
Number of?
entries like column or rows in that particular column.
Okay, okay. Anybody else? Okay. So this will solely count the number of rows in the imported from column, which is not null. Which means if there is nulls present in this column, it will not be counted. So here we don't have any nulls, hence we got 20. But if we have nulls, then those number of rows will get skipped. Okay, so for example, I will just create a quick table. Give me 1 minute. Mm. I'm just creating a random table just to help you understand this concept. So if you look at the table that I just created, select star from example. This table has total of 6 rows. It has total of 6 rows, but there are 2 nulls present over here. Okay. Now if I write select count star from example, what will it return? What will it return, everyone? Can you guys put your answer? Okay. It will return 6. Why? Because I'm counting star, right? If I count star means I'm counting all the rows in the table. I'm counting all the rows in the table. So it will return 6, right? And if I count cat, now what will it return? Yes, now it will return the count of cat will return that in the cat column, the number of non-null values that we have. So if you see, the answer will be 6, 4. Why? Because there were 2 nulls present in the cat column. Now you got the difference between count star and count of any column. Yeah. Same way, if I let's say select color from fruits. Okay. Did I talk about the distinct keyword with you guys? Did I explain distinct keyword? Nope. Okay. So when I select color from fruits, it gives us it gives us the whole column color from the fruits table. So you have all the colors over here. There are obviously repetitive colors and etc. If I add a keyword called distinct, what happens is distinct will return only the unique values. Okay, so when I add distinct, I only get the unique values as the output. All duplications are removed and only the distinct values get returned. That's the work of distinct. Whenever you apply distinct in front of a column, and you can only apply it on the front of the first column, the output that you get will be distinct. Like if you applied color comma let's say quantity, it will give you distinct combinations of color comma quantity. See, in this case, if you see, red is repeated twice, but it's not because red is duplicate, it's because the quantity is also clubbed with it. So red 50, red 60 is a different combination. So distinct will basically give you unique rows in the output. Okay, it will not give you just unique values, but it will give you unique rows in the output. You can use it for multiple columns, but then the output combination will include multiple columns and distinct will return you the unique rows out of it. Is
It
that
means
clear
it
for
just
everyone?
remove the duplicacy, right?
Yeah, it will remove duplicates. Not completely like permanent, not permanently in the original table, only in the output.
Okay.
Because you are using it with
Yeah,
select.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Got it.
So everyone clear with distinct? Great. So now if I write select count distinct color from fruits, what will be the answer? 8, right? Because it will count the number of unique colors that we have in the fruits column. Simple as that. So that's what you do with count when you want to count the number of unique values in the output. Is this clear for everyone? Okay. Now coming to the next one, which is called sum. Sum, as you all know, is simply going to add values, right? It just all it does is adds value. Now, let's say same way I write the first one that I wrote, that select sum of quantity from fruits, and I've just given an alias called total quantity here. So what it will do, it will just add all the quantities in the fruit column, and the answer is 930. That's the most simple sum utilization that you have seen till now, right? Till here, is it clear? Okay. Now if I write select sum of price multiplied by quantity as, let's say, total amount from books. Now what will be the answer? Firstly, will it run or will it give us an error? It will run, right? Obviously, it will run. And when it runs, it will calculate price into quantity first, and then it will sum up all the price into quantities up, right? So it will calculate price into quantity for all the fruits, and then it will sum up that value. That's what it will do in this particular query. Is that clear for everyone? Everybody clear? Okay. Um, Now let's say I write, okay, let's see what we can write. Now let's say I write select case when is seasonal equals to 1, which means if is seasonal is equals to true, then quantity, else 0, end. So these are for all seasonal fruits, right? Now what I'll do is I'll put a sum also. Now, what do you think will be the output? Right. So it will sum up all the values where is seasonally, basically it will sum up whatever comes as the output on the case when, right? So if you look at the output, it will basically have 210 and 720. So basically, wherever seasonal is true, it has summed up all the quantity in seasonal fruits quantity. Wherever seasonal is false, it has summed up all the quantity as non-seasonal fruit quantity. Because if you just look at these two case statements without the aggregation, if you look at these two case statements, it's just that for every fruit it will label it as seasonal. I mean, if it is seasonal, then we are getting the quantity. If it is non-seasonal, we are not getting the quantity. So it's summing all of these up. It is summing all of these up as seasonal fruit quantity. It is summing all of these up as non-seasonal fruit quantity. And this is called as conditional aggregation. Is that clear for everyone? And it's not just that you can only use sum in front of case when. You can use anything. Like if you want, you can use average also. You can use count, average, anything that you want, you can use. Average will also work. Is this clear till here, everyone? So this separately sums up or averages out seasonal and non-seasonal fruits. Okay. And now if I write a query like this, that select color, comma, count star as total fruits and sum of quantity as total quantity. If you see, there is a new statement which has come up over here. It's called group by. Group by is something that adds up to your aggregations in MySQL. This is the thing that we are going to explore next up. Okay. But can you guys complete your execution till here? All the things that we talked about. Can you quickly complete your execution till here? Let me know once you are done. What about others done? Okay. Next up is the average. Like I said, that average is used to calculate average of any column or any expression that you give. So for example, if I write select average of, let's say, rice from fruits, it will calculate what is the average price of all the fruits present in the fruits table. So this will give the price 3.682. Now, when you're using average, be a little careful because average will always give the output in a lot of decimal because you obviously, if you are dividing it by the number of values and etc., the output will have a lot of decimal points. So just to make it more readable, use the round functions. If you round it to 2 decimal places and you see the output, now it is looking more tamed, more readable, and etc. So with average, try to use round functions. Okay. Then if I just want to calculate average of, let's say, price multiplied by quantity from fruits, so also something which will calculate the same way, it will calculate price into quantity for every fruit and then average it out for all the fruits together. Okay. That's average. Next is the min and max function. Min and max function is basically used to calculate minimum and maximum, like the name suggests. So if I write what is minimum of price, it will tell me what is the minimum price present. And if I write what is the maximum of price, it will tell me what is the maximum price present. So minimum and maximum likewise. Is this clear for everyone? Okay, can you guys complete your execution till here if you're clear?
Meghna, um,
Yeah.
in some case, I'm getting one error. Can you please check it?
You can put the
I'll put,
code error in the chat box.
yeah, I'm putting both. But the syntax I wrote in.
So you have put an extra bracket after the alias, you have put an extra bracket, which is not needed. You're opening a bracket here, you should close your bracket here.
Acha, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, can we move to the next topic if you guys are done till here? Okay. The next topic, like I was saying you, is group by. One of the most important clauses again, right? And by this time, we have already started learning advanced concepts in SQL, by the way. Okay. So group by is basically used to group the result based on a column value. And it is always used with aggregation. You cannot use a group by without an aggregation. So it is always used with aggregation. If you're grouping by something, you need to use an aggregation also along with it. Okay, let me show you up. Okay. I'll give you a simple description. Okay, let's say you have a bag full of balls. Okay, so there are few blue balls, there are few pink balls, there are few green balls. Okay, now herein, when I say group by, guys, please don't annotate. Yeah, thank you. Okay, now herein, when I say group by, I am basically over here segregating based on a value. Like I'm putting similar values at one place. So if I write group by color, I'm putting all the balls of the same color at one place, which means I'll put all the blue balls at one place. These are all the blue balls. Then I am putting all the green balls at one place. Similarly, I am putting all the pink balls at one place. So group wise work is this. It basically groups by a particular column value. So all the values in this particular column, which are of same value basically, are grouped together. So all the blues are grouped together, all the greens are grouped together, all the pinks are grouped together because I've grouped by color. On top of this, you always use aggregation. So let's say I've used an aggregation of count. So now that these balls are grouped together, it will summarize these 4 balls into one single output. Because you have used count, the output will be 4. Here the output will be 5. Here the output will be 3. So for every color, you get the summarization in one single output. That's what is the work of group by. Is this clear for everyone? It just groups the result based on a column value, and then you use aggregate function to summarize it in one line. But group by and summarization always works together. Is this clear for everyone? No, I'll show you how to use it. That's different. Just tell me if it is clear to you. Okay. So that's the concept of group by. Okay. Now let's say I will first talk about the syntax. The syntax of group by is, let's say you select a particular column and you select an aggregate function, any aggregate function on any other column or even the same column, depends on the use case, from table name. Now that you have selected column 1 and you're aggregating on another column, you have to group by the first column, group by column 1. So what this will do is this will group by column 1, and for every group of column 1, it will find the aggregate of column 2. That's what it is going to do. Like for example, if I have select color comma quantity from fruits, here I am selecting the color column and the quantity column from fruits. So there will be multiple there will be multiple colors which are repetitive, etc. and all of that over here. If you see, red is here, and etc. And the quantity likewise. Now, if I write select color, comma, sum of quantity as total quantity from fruits and group by 1. So this means I'm grouping by an individual color. I'm grouping by the fruits. I mean grouping the fruits by its color and summing them by their quantity. So now if you look at the output, for every color, I have the total quantity computed. That's the work of group by. Herein, if I would have not used group by and if I would have just written color, comma, sum of quantity, it will throw me an error saying that in aggregated query, you can't have a singular expression. If you are having anything instead of aggregation, like apart from the aggregation that you are using, if you have any other column over here, you have to use a group by along with it. Like this. Is it clear till here?
Group by is always given by integer or anything else we can provide. Hello.
So basically, it is summing up the quantity, then grouping by color. No, it is grouping by color, then summing up the quantity for every color. It's the opposite. Yeah, you can give the column name as well, but it's a shortcut convention to give 1, 2, and etc. Is it clear till here now? Everybody right? Clear, right? Same way if I write, for example, select imported from and comma average price. So for every imported from, it will calculate the average price. Like for every country that it is the fruit is imported from, it will count, it will calculate the average price and etc. Same way if I write select, let's let's say color, comma, is seasonal, comma, sum of quantity from fruits. Now let's say I only want to group by color. So I'll write group by 1. What do you think? Will it run or will it throw an error? What about others? So the answer is yes, it will throw an error. Why? Because you cannot keep any non-aggregated column just as an expression. It has to be in the group by. So every non-aggregated column has to be in group by. So you cannot just group by color. You have to group by both color and is seasonal. And if you now look at the output, every combination of color and seasonality has sum of quantities calculated likewise. Now the group by is based on color and is seasonal both. So let's say the color red will be grouped for seasonal and the red grouped for is seasonal true and false likewise. So this is one group, this is one group, and likewise for every color the groups are created. Is it clear till here, everyone? And you will be able to see it more evidently if I use a order by also on top of it, which means if I write order by color, which is 1. Now if you see over here, for blue we don't have non-seasonal fruits, so it's just 1. So brown 0 and etc. But if you look for other colors like red, red 0, red 1, so all the combinations of color and is seasonal that's present in the data will be formed up over here. That's group by. And if you can group by multiple columns likewise. Is it clear till here? Same way you can use count star also. Like for every color you can count the number of fruits. So over here if I put up color comma count star, and if I group by color, for every color of fruits I can find what are the total number of fruits present. And you can order by the aggregated column. You can write order by 2. So ascending it will be sorted. If you write order by 2 descending, it will be sorted in descending order likewise. Is this clear for everyone till here? Can you guys complete your execution till here? And also we'll take a break. So let's get on a break on 20 minutes. Be back and discuss the next topic. Okay.